What's up? Happy Thirsty Thursday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Javari here with Jared Smith. Jared, we are on to another week, yet again, of NFL football as we kick off week 7 tonight with TNF. What shirt are you wearing today?
Going with my nymph, the Elfie the
Again,
elf,
I
the
love you.
Browns. I do like the nymph. I was told one of my mutual friends in the sports media space yesterday said I should dress up as the nerfy nymph for Halloween. And I thought, I don't think anyone wants to see me in a Tinkerbell outfit, but I appreciate the sentiment, though.
That would honestly be terrifying. Please do not do
Yes,
that.
I agree. I mean, listen, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? But that one wouldn't stay in Vegas. That one would circulate the rounds. But I
God
digress.
bless.
Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning. We got
Morning.
a lot to get into today. First of all, can
Yeah.
I just tell you a thing that happened last night that I never
Please
get
do.
starstruck, ever. I
I
never
love
get
hearing your
starstruck.
stories.
But Michael B. Jordan was sitting courtside at the Atlanta Hawks Game 1 season opener, and I got to interview him. And it was like the greatest moment of my life, of my young 30-year life. I was like, oh my gosh, I just interviewed Michael B. Jordan. I love Creed more than anything. It is one of my favorite movies. I like it more than the Rocky series. Creed 3 is coming
Oh,
out in
wow.
March. It was awesome. Yeah.
I'm happy for you,
It's a
but I'm
bold statement,
disappointed
but
that doing this show with me has not been the highlight of your life. But I understand.
honestly, it's the
Michael B.
highlight of
Jordan.
today. The highlight of
Oh,
yesterday. I didn't do the show. I wasn't on with you.
fair.
Michael B was the highlight yesterday. Today, this is my highlight. The Nerfy Nymphs, Jared Smith, and some
Oh,
Thursday night football. Let's talk
she's
about
a
it, baby. We
smooth
got a lot to
talker,
get into.
everybody. She's a smooth talker. Don't let her finagle you.
Oh, gosh. Well, we do have a lot to get into today. Our Thursday night football preview. We have the Saints taking on the Cardinals. We'll be breaking down that whole matchup. Then we have Prop Holiday coming on to chat a little Thursday night football props. A little proppy. We have him on every Thursday, Sunday, and Monday to give us the prop bets for that day. NFL Would You Rather, which we love. We have MLB postseason playoffs on the ALCS and the NLCS going on right now. One of the series tied up at 1, the other one 1-0. We'll break those down and what we've seen. And then we can't end without our Pickswise 3-star play of the day and our best bets of the day. So without further ado, my friend, let's get right into it. Let's bet it. Thursday night football. We have the Saints taking on the Cardinals. Both teams want to get back into the win column after a tough week last week. The Saints fell to the Bengals after giving up a lead. The Cardinals had absolutely no offense against a really bad Seattle Seahawks defense. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, but it's going to be an exciting game because you want to know who's coming back? DeAndre Hopkins returns from suspension. What are you expecting from this game? I know we'll be breaking down a lot of these injuries because the injury list is like a laundry list. It is extremely long.
Yeah, a lot going on. First of all, before I get to that, I have to get to this comment in the chat. Xavier said, watched the Hawks game last night, saw Lauren swag surfing and flirting with Michael B. Jordan. Care to comment?
I did swag surf. I was not aware that I was on camera at first. They do it in between the third and fourth quarters. They do the swag surf. So I was swagging and surfing, walking on over to my Michael B. Jordan interview, actually.
God.
And of course, the camera ends up finding me, and then I was working it for them. I'm like, swag.
The camera tends to find you, LJ. The camera
so
loves you.
Fun.
The camera absolutely loves you.
And I love Michael B. Jordan, so I'm glad we got that out there.
I am going to send his agent the first 5 minutes of this show, and we'll see how he responds.
Please.
I'm going to package it up.
Love that.
We'll get Jacob to cut a little montage. I'm sure he's not busy or anything, right? And then we'll send it all over to MJB's agent. We'll see what he says. All right, I digress. We have football to talk about. We have business to attend to. Let's get back to the business at hand. First of all, Club TA did a fantastic write-up for this game. It's on the site. There's 2 picks. One of them is my play of the day. The other one I will be betting as well. I think there's a lot of intrigue with this game. It's not your last couple of weeks Thursday night matchup where the offenses were just completely dead sticks. Not a lot of excitement, not a lot of intrigue with the teams that are playing. We don't expect those teams to make any runs. I don't think Arizona's going to make a run. New Orleans is in the mix because of what's happening with Tampa Bay, but there's a lot of interesting things happening in this game. First of all, the quarterback situation for New Orleans. We think it's going to be Andy Dalton. We really don't know yet. The injury report says both Dalton and Winston are available. If I had to guess based off of the things I'm reading, the things I'm seeing, I think it'll be Dalton and it'll be Taysom Hill kind of doing his weird mix-in, quarterback, run situation at some point during the game. Yeah, exactly. I think we'll see a lot of Dalton and a change up of Taysom Hill throughout the game. The injury situation for New Orleans is certainly prevalent. Michael Thomas out, Jarvis Landry out, Andrews Pete out. That's the starting guard. Marshawn Lattimore out. Kamara, Ingram in, Olave in. That's positive. But again, I just read you three very important players on the offensive side of the ball that are out for New Orleans. On Arizona's side, Marquise Brown out. Dennis Gardeck, very important linebacker who's done a really nice job this year with the rush end, out. Rodney Hudson, starting center, huge piece in the middle, out. And Darrell Williams, running back, not a huge piece, out as well. Justin Pugh, starting guard, also out. So you got two starting linemen on the Arizona side out. You got a starting lineman, two starting wide receivers on the New Orleans side out. And you have the best corner, maybe in the game, top 5 corner, Marshawn Lattimore, also out for New Orleans. So you can make a case that both sides, offense and defense for both teams, a little bit undermanned. It's a Thursday night game. Obviously, both teams are a little bit tired. But then we start to look at some of the underlying metrics in this game, and it really makes me believe the Saints are the right side. Now, we know DeAndre Hopkins is back. That's big for the Cardinals. But how fresh, how polished is he going to be in his first game back after 6 weeks?
He's been out 6 weeks. That's a lot of time.
Exactly. Then we start to think about the Saints right now and how much more polished they are than this Cardinals team. I'll be honest. I think the Cardinals right now are, and I know there's a lot of other bad teams in the league, but the talent on their team and the expectations are falling way short. I think you can make a case that they're the most disappointing team in the league, considering who's playing quarterback, who the offensive weapons are, who the head coach is, and just how bad their offense has been. And how about this?
You talk about Kyler Murray too, Jared. He only has 6 touchdowns through 6 weeks, but 4 interceptions through 6 weeks. So he almost has the same amount of throwing touchdowns as he does to interceptions, which is extremely disappointing for a team like that.
The Cardinals have not only struggled in this spot, but they've struggled overall at home. I think you mentioned that they've lost 8 straight home games. That is insane. That is absurd. So since 2020 at home, they're 6-13 against the number. And they're 0-4 straight up and against the number on a short week. And that, to me, that's coaching. That's Cliff Kingsbury and coaching and just the inability to get his team ready to play. And that's what concerns me tonight with this Cardinals team. Also, the fact that the offensive line is in bad shape, and I think the Saints' defensive line is one of the most formidable units in the league, means there's going to be a ton of pressure on Kyler Murray tonight. On the other side, it's kind of ironic. The Cardinals are the third, and again, Clef TA is fantastic putting these numbers in the write-up. This is all in his write-up for today, and I, again, recommend you all read it. Cardinals are the third heaviest blitz team in the league, but the irony is that Andy Dalton actually has the highest PFF grade against the blitz this season. That's why I think it will be Dalton tonight and not Winston. And I get vibes that the Saints are going to control the clock. They're going to control the line of scrimmage. Dalton's going to, dink and dunk his way down the field. He's got Olave back. That should open up the offense a little bit on the back end. But to me, the Saints catching points, there's no home field advantage for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, that is established. So the Saints catching points on what's basically a neutral site, it feels like a really decent spot to jump on New Orleans tonight.
I know. No, I totally agree with you on that. It was tough for me. It's like I'm having a hard time choosing a side just because of the injuries that the Saints are dealing with right now, but then also how bad the Cardinals have been at home. I'm looking at the total. For you, Jared, do you think it's going to be Andy Dalton starting at quarterback for the Saints? Even with, if it's not, does Taysom Hill start at quarterback? What do they do if Andy Dalton cannot go?
I think Andy Dalton. So I'll be honest. I think actually it's dealer's choice tonight. At least the injury report is telling me it's dealer's choice. And by dealer, I mean their head coach, Dennis Allen, and their offensive coaching staff. But I think it's going to be Dalton and Hill tonight, a mix of those two guys. My guess is Dalton gets the start, and he does his little thing where he dinks and dunks his way down the field and hopefully doesn't turn it over. And then in the red zone, they bring in Hill, and he does his thing. And we see a lot of Alvin Kamara as well. I mean, this is, again, short week, hard to really gauge where the offensive, legs are on both sides, frankly, defense and offense. But I do think it will be Dalton tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that game goes moving forward. DeAndre Hopkins in his first game back. Would you rather have him rusty or not in your lineup? How do you feel about that? I don't know. Speaking of would you rather, let's get into our game, would you rather, before we have Prop Holiday coming on this show. Would you rather, Jared, to make the playoffs, the Patriots at plus 165 or your New York Jets, Jets at 2-1 odds? Who are you taking to make the playoffs at this point? Would you rather?
Don't make me choose this. This is painful. So I wrote up the Jets game this week for the site. Please go read it. It's on the preview for my Jets is on Pickswise.com. I did a very lengthy write up on where they're standing currently. Their offense has been rejuvenated, since Zach Wilson came back, and it's really been Breece Hall in the running game. Dwayne Brown's been great. They've moved Elijah Vera Tucker, their starting guard, who they drafted in the first round last year. They kicked him out to right tackle. So you have Dwayne Brown, veteran left tackle, coming back from injury, the guy they signed to replace Mekhi Becton in the offseason. He's been playing well the last couple of weeks. And then you kick Vera Tucker out to tackle, and all of a sudden you've got two tackles that are actually playing pretty good football, and the inside's been okay. Yeah. Breece Hall's running it. It's been positive for the Jets offense, I think, since Wilson's come back. Listen, Bailey's happy. I mean, it's early. It's only been a couple of games, but the grades are very positive on him as well. And I know they haven't asked him
Bailey's
to do
zappy,
much.
Looking happy.
Look, Zappy hour, baby, your favorite hour of the day.
I hated that.
It's been positive. And listen, this Jets team, you look at their last couple of results, and I know the Packers are, going through their malaise right now, and the Dolphins have had a third-string quarterback. The Steelers had Kenny Pickett's first game, but they've won 3 straight games. They've won 4 or 5, and they haven't scored less than 24 points in any of those 4 wins. So they're scoring some points. And again, this is a Jets offense. With Robert Saleh, I would expect it to be defense on that side of the ball. I still think New England's the better bet to make the playoffs. These two teams play each other, Jets and Pats, twice in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Other than that, the Pats play the Bears, the Colts, the Vikings, the Bills in that stretch. The Jets have to play the Bills twice as well, and the Vikings and the Bears, and then the game in Denver this week. Let's just leave it at this. If the Jets win this week in Denver, I think they've got a shot to make the playoffs. But I could see their season turning quickly if they don't, because then it's at Broncos this week, then it's Pats, Bills, Pats. Like, you could easily get 4 straight losses right there. Broncos, Pats, Bills, Pats, and all of a sudden you're back to 4-6 and the world is falling again. So big stretch for both teams coming up. But if I had to pick one, I think I'd take the Pats.
Bills, to me, is an automatic loss for them, which brings me to my next would you rather. Which conference to win the Super Bowl? AFC at minus 145, which is thanks to the Buffalo Bills, or the NFC at plus 120?
This is an easy one. It has to be the AFC.
Right? It has to be.
Who in the NFC? Like, think about the line in the game. Like, if it's Bills, anyone, it's 3 or higher. It doesn't matter who it is. So that right there is minus 145. So you're getting value, I think, even if it's the Eagles, who's like the best team in the league power ratings wise, it still would probably be 3.5.
Yeah. If
it's the Bills, which would be much higher than minus 145. So usually what they say is minus 3 is about minus 150, average money line price. Remember, we dove into this really hard last year during the national championship game, Georgia, Alabama. There was so much money on Alabama as an underdog at 3 that the money line price was like, for Georgia, I think it was like minus 130, minus 135.
Wow.
Considering that it was a minus 3, you were getting heavy value on Georgia money line compared to the spread. It didn't matter. They covered the spread anyways. But that's my point. You're getting value there at minus 145 if the Super Bowl line is higher than 3. And if it is the Bills, even if it's the Chiefs, I think it'll be 3 or higher.
Last but not least, most rushing yards. We got Nick Chubb at 3-1, or Saquon Barkley at 3.5 to 1 odds right now. I kind of like Saquon here.
I have to fade the Giants.
Why? You told me last week if they win, we'd be having a lot different conversation about the New York Giants heading into week 7. Are we not?
Fair.
Has that narrative still not changed for you?
So I'll be honest. I don't think it has, because I think the really different conversation we need to have is about the Baltimore Ravens. like that's the conversation I need to really figure out. Like Lamar Jackson, just pull your head out of your ass in the fourth quarter and don't throw just a debilitating red zone interception that sets up the Giants with basically first and goal for the game-winning score.
Yeah.
They were down.
Yeah.
So I'm fading the Giants. Like my best bet of the week, and the hint is fading the Giants.
Well, we're going to be against each other on our Pickswise playbook show that we're recording in a little bit, Jared. So buckle up, baby.
You got to do what you got to do, Lauren. You got to listen. If you want to jump off the cliff with the public dog of the week and the Giants, I can't stop you anymore.
Guess what? I jumped off the cliff last week and it worked out for me. So, I'm going to continue to jump.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. I can't control Lauren Jabbar's swag surfing. That is in a class by itself, my friend. And listen, I think it's a valid, like the discussion we're having right now in a more, intellectual way is the discussion that every other average recreational gambler is having right now with themselves. Like they're looking at the Giants and they're like +3. This team's 5-1. Like, why are they +3? They shouldn't be an underdog. Why are they an underdog against the 2-4 team? Like everyone is saying that. Everyone is thinking it. I understand the discrepancy with their record and what the odds are telling us this week, but the market tends to be right about these things. But back to this particular conversation, there is zero doubt in my mind who the better offensive line is between these two teams. Now, to be fair, Andrew Thomas has graded out very well. He's actually the highest graded offensive lineman in the league this season. He's the left tackle. The right tackle, Evan Neal, the kid they drafted from Alabama, the rookie, has also graded out, I would say, slightly above expectations so far. So you have two bookend tackles now for the Giants, and you also have this, rejuvenated, coaching staff. Kafka and Dable have really, schemed up some pretty impressive Saquon, who's healthy. But I think if you were asking me over the long haul, the Browns have a better offensive line, nose to toes. And let's be honest, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, I think I would put Chubb just slightly ahead in his rushing game. This is rushing yards. Saquon, remember, big in the passing game too. Total yards, maybe Saquon has the edge. Rushing yards, I think I would give the edge.
This is just rushing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's rush on over to Bobley Stanley.
Bobley!
Let's bring in Bobley. Good old Bobley Stanley. Prop Holiday to talk Thursday night football bets. What just came out of my mouth, Bobley? I have no clue what's going on right now. We're swagging and surfing into his Thursday night football prop bets. We have the Saints taking on the Cardinals. Ooh, you got the plaid on today. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good until you butchered my name, but no,
Bobley.
No, it's fall season, my favorite time of year, so I am definitely plaided and Carhartted up. What is?
It's okay. She calls me Gerard every day, Bobby. So
Gerard.
It's okay.
I call myself LaRon. You got to add a little spice into your life. We're boring if we don't.
She does like adding spice. She's a spicy gal. She's a spicy gal.
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
Prop Holiday. Let's talk about this Thursday night football game. We put a bow on week 6, moving on to week 7 now. We have the Saints taking on the Cardinals. DeAndre Hopkins is back in. If he would have bet on the Atlanta Falcons the first 6 weeks against the spread, he would have been one rich man. But getting into the game tonight, let's talk about it. Who do you like in terms of receiving yards? I see on the Google sheet right now.
I actually have 2 receiving plays for tonight, but I'm going to start with the Saints. I don't believe Dennis Allen named a starting quarterback yet, but we can all assume it is probably going to be Andy Dalton. So I'm on Marquez Callaway over 28.5 receiving yards. So there's no Jarvis Landry tonight. There's no Mike Thomas tonight. Chris Olave and Callaway should get the starting nod. Callaway has started 2 of the last 3 games, both all with Dalton. And in those starts, he saw 6 targets each, and he hit this number with no problem. He's averaging average depth of targets around 14 yards in those starts, so he needs 3 catches to make this. But the Cardinals are middle of the pack in defending 20-plus yard receiving receptions, so he may only need 2. So I like the line as low as it is. Could see a negative game script, which would help this play a lot, having the Saints play from behind. Hopefully he gets cornerback Marco Wilson in coverage. This guy's 80th ranked quarterback out of 108, according to PFF. So
wow.
He's got a good opportunity ahead of him. He's got a low line, and I'm hoping with Dalton he gets consistent.
Yeah, that is interesting. Let's look at this Cardinals defense right now. Oh, yeah. Pretty. Wilson's numbers are really bad. Marco Wilson. Not great.
And that would be Callaway's draw. The other one, obviously, the better of the two corners is going to end up. Byron Murphy should go over start traveling Hopkins. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wrong way around. Should be traveling Olave.
Yeah, Murphy Jr. a little bit better, but still, middle of the pack right now. Pro Football Focus grade. Wilson, 100 out of 108 quarterbacks in his PFF grade, and he's last in run defense, which isn't huge for corners, but it might be huge tonight because the Saints do like to run the ball. Let me throw a stat your way, Bobby, and absorb it and tell me what you think. So the Winston Dalton dynamic is fascinating tonight. And the one stat that jumped out at me when I was kind of deep diving into this game, Andy Dalton has targeted receivers at a 50% rate compared to Jameis Winston at a 70% rate. So you're, again, Dalton dinking and dunking tight ends, running backs, whereas Jameis is pushing the ball a little bit more down the field to his wide receivers. How does that affect your script tonight if and when we hear the starting quarterback news? Are you a little less bullish on some of those Saints receivers because of that number? Maybe a little more bullish on the tight ends and the running backs, especially out of the backfield catching passes.
Well, Troutman's out tonight, so you're going to get Juwan Johnson, the tight end. You always have to factor how Tyson Hill is going to be playing in this offense. I think actually Troutman helped him a lot on that edge, kind of setting the edge for him. But the reason I like this line for Callaway is because it is so low. You did point it out, the 50% target rate to receivers versus Jameis Winston. I actually just don't think Winston plays. They have a bye week coming up. Dennis Allen's made some comments saying when he's healthy, he's going to be ready to go. What's the rush? This team, believe it or not, they've averaged 30 points per game under Dalton over the last 3. You wouldn't think
Dalton's been fine. Honestly, I think the Dalton Hill combination to me is better than Winston. I honestly do.
The stats would back that up. So if I'm Dennis Allen, ride this into the bye week. You're going to get an even longer extended time between the short week with Thursday Night Football plus the bye week. Bring Jameis back healthy. And you should be able to at least be slightly competitive in this game with Dalton. But, yeah, no, it doesn't sway me that much just because the line's this low. That was really the draw for me with Callaway.
Cool.
For a game like this, when there are so many injuries to a lot of big players that you would normally probably be placing prop bets on, how do you kind of go about approaching, what to see from some of these guys and how to bet some of these props in a game where a lot of these individual players are out?
I do a lot of manual Excel playing with, so I'll go to Pro Football Reference page and just export it to an Excel sheet. And I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins with Zach Ertz, DeAndre Hopkins without Zach Ertz, and just tracking trends. Where are they going when they're playing with each other? Do the targets go down? Does the snap share go down? Does the route running go down? So that kind of led me to my second pick tonight with Zach Ertz. I'm looking at Zach Ertz, his line. It's 47.5 receiving yards. I'm going under. Hopkins is a big part of this, but even without Hopkins, he's only hit this line in 3 to 6 games this season. One of the bigger draws for me to this play, the Saints ranked first in DVOA against tight ends. They're only giving up 29.7 yards per game to opposing tight ends. And they played some decent ones. Kyle Pitts is no slouch. So they've held tight ends under this number for a while. And then I look how they're doing as far as targets. They've only allowed 5.6 targets per games to tight ends. And when Ertz gets 8 or less, he's only hit this number in 1 of 8 games. So as far as to answer your question, a little bit better to circle back, just track it. How are they doing with or without this person on the field? It takes a lot of time and some Excel playing, but
that's the difference.
A lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of time. And that process that you just described, you just gave us a glimpse behind the curtain, which I know our viewers appreciate. I don't think people realize how hard it is to do some of we come on here and we do the show and it's 30, 45 minutes long and we have all these numbers and it takes hours, people, to find these little nuggets. Hour. I mean, the amount of time Bobby spends just on props, the amount of time that I spend on just analytics and trying to find these little nuggets that secure what we're talking about and make it seem a lot smarter than it is. Now, once the game starts, anything could freaking happen. We have no idea. But that type of legwork, there is no website that tracks that. That is manual legwork. So tip of the cap to you, sir. Fantastic legwork as always. What is your game prediction for tonight if you had to give us one?
I like the Cardinals. They've been playing a little bit better of late. Wow. I'll throw a stat out there. Only one quarterback has lost 5 straight primetime games by 17 points since 1970. Andy Red Rifle Dalton. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals tonight at home. I do think Hopkins brings an element to this team. There is some excitement. Yes, they lost Hollywood Brown last week, but he's been a staple in this building for the last year or so. Him and Kyler have such a great connection. Do we have any word on James Conner? Go ahead.
I don't know. I haven't heard about Connor yet, but that is a very good, very, very questionable. Didn't practice all week. Very, very questionable, I would say. Very, very questionable. Hudson and Pugh concern me a little bit too, Bobby. They do. I mean, that's the entire interior of your offensive line. I know they've been playing without Hudson most of the year, but that is a little bit concerning.
I'll play devil's advocate and say Marshawn Lattimore and Andreas Pete on the Saints side of the ball, also equally important pieces that will be out.
I agree.
Give me the home team more so on Thursday night with a little bit more pep in their step when they get Nuke Hopkins back. The line's
don't look at the home numbers for the Cardinals the last couple years.
It ain't
they haven't won a home game. They haven't won a home game since you've been in college. Oh, no, I'm just joking. It's been a while. It's been
Jared,
like
do you want to know the fun thing about this? Is that once the game starts, it's a coin flip. You got a 50-50 chance of winning the game.
It's only week 7. Cliff Kingsbury doesn't turn to a pumpkin until about week 8 or 9. So we have one or two more decent weeks for the Cardinals before they fall off the cliff.
I have one more interesting counter to that, because we've discussed this before on Pickswise Playbook, and I'll bring this to your attention too. The Cardinals have the worst first quarter scoring margin in the NFL. They've only scored, I think, 3 points in the first quarter all season. And to me, that's game script. Your first quarter plays, your first 15 plays are scripted. So Cliff Kingsbury's script is on drugs. Like how is this offense with this much talent so bad in the first quarter and the first half of games? It's all script. That's coaching, right?
It is. The only thing I can think of is the inconsistency from week to week. So you have no Rondale Moore to start the season. Then you had Rondale Moore back week 4. Now you're adding DeAndre Hopkins back in week 7. If you're 100% right, game script is important. You've reviewed these in practice all week. You should come out firing. But I guess just not having that sense of consistency week to week has played a slight factor, and it's not going to get any better.
But you can say that again this week. Out is Holliday Brown, and that's the guy they haven't played with, and they haven't played with Hopkins since last year. So
fair.
I would be. Let's just leave it at this. I would be surprised if the Cardinals came out tonight and looked world beaters in the first quarter. Like bing, bang, boom, down the field. The script looks great, right into the end zone. I would be surprised if that happened. Now, it could happen. I've been surprised before. And I've been wrong many times before. But that would surprise me tonight based off of what we've seen so far this year.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I'm kind of leading the Cardinals here too, to be honest with you.
Everyone's against me tonight. Everyone's against me.
But it's okay. It's okay. We'll get into that a little bit later, Gerard.
I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill.
We so appreciate you for coming on the show. Love the plaid, the flannel. What did I call you earlier?
Lumberjack Holliday over here.
What did I call you earlier?
Blobby.
It's like Bublé. Michael Bublé.
Boblé. That's what it was. Boblé. Have a great day.
Later, guys.
See you later, brother.
All right, let's get into some MLB playoffs quick before we talk about our play of the days. Playoff times. We had NLCS Game 2, ALCS Game 1. Houston came out on top of the Yankees 4-2. They took the 1-0 lead in the ALCS. I know we all joked the last couple of years, a lot me, about the sign stealing, etc., and they deserved it. But this year, they are just a really freaking good baseball team. They won yesterday with 3 solo home runs. And you want to know something crazy? The Astros only struck out twice yesterday. Well, the Yankees, they struck out 17 times. They're now 3 wins away from their 4th World Series trip in the last 6 years. Who comes out on top of this ALCS series?
Oh, I mean, obviously my heart is with the Yankees. I had a feeling they were gonna be a little flat last night. I don't really know what to expect today, to be honest. We will put this game in our Sports Equinox parlay coming up in just a few moments. By the way, happy Sports Equinox Day to everyone who celebrates. I don't really have a good. Yeah, it really is a fantastic time of year for sports, no doubt. I really don't have a good vibe on Luis Severino, who starts tonight for the Yankees. He has been very good at times in the playoffs, but he's been very volatile at times too. I could absolutely see a early blow up. And I just don't think the Yankees offensively are consistent enough to score here. They are striking out at an alarming rate. They hit 180 in the DS and still won the series. That's really hard to do. And again, I think that speaks a little more to the Guardians' inconsistencies on offense. The Astros don't have that problem. The Astros have all-stars at almost every position offensively. Like it's truly remarkable. Tucker had a good game last night. You've got Altuve and Bregman and Alvarez and even, Trey Mancini. There's just a lot of talent on this Astros team. And I don't think the Yankees, unless they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, win all 3 games at home, which they've been good at home this year in the playoffs and in prior years, and then find a way to steal a game on the road. I think it's going to be a really tough ask for the Yankees to win the series. Now, that being said, the line today is telling you that they've got a shot. Last night it was minus 170. Today it's in the minus 140 range, but I don't trust Severino. Like, as a Yankees fan, I don't trust him in this spot on the road. I'd much rather have Garrett Cole starting game 2, but the way that the rotation shaked out and the schedule and everything getting pushed back, it made it impossible for Garrett Cole to start anytime. I would it's a huge advantage for the Astros to be able to have those days off, to line up their rotation, their top 2 starters at home, and to avoid the Yankees' top 2 starters in Houston. To take that 2-0 lead right out of the gate puts a lot of pressure on the Yankees, and they will have Garrett Cole lined up in game 3, which is good, but I don't like their chances to win tonight.
It's going to be interesting to see how that game plays out. The NLCS, though, has been extremely fun to watch. The Padres are like the team of destiny right now. They're getting hot at the right time. They were down yesterday 4-0. They came back and won 8-5 yesterday afternoon. The series is now tied up at 1 apiece. Aaron Nola got the best of Austin Nola got the best of his little brother, Aaron Nola. Pretty cool that they're going up against each other. That has to be like a competitive thing. I wonder how that group chat looked after that game, because it's like the older brother hitting the younger brother pitcher. It's also interesting to note that they're doing the series 2-3-2. So if the Phillies win the next few, they could clinch at home. That could be, a motivating factor for them. Then they're going back to Philly. That game is tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. So interesting to see, but the Padres, they're getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think both of these teams are kind of teams of destiny. Both are wild card teams. It's crazy,
yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to discredit the Phillies, because they've been knocked the reigning World Series champs off.
Yeah, and they've been red hot. They have not lost they haven't lost a home game yet. They're 2-0 at home. 1-1 heading back to Philly. It'll be 3 straight in Philly. So if they sweep in Philly, if they continue their hot streak in Philly, they absolutely can not have to get back on a cross-country plane back to San Diego on Monday. So kind of an interesting schedule in this series, though. No days off. No days off other than today. For the rest of the series, no days off. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I think that's an advantage for San Diego, but I really don't know. I don't really know who has the advantage in this series right now. I think it's a coin flip. I think both teams have this aura of destiny about them. San Diego saved their asses yesterday, though. They were down 4-0 in that game, and it was all dinks and dunks. I was watching. Crazy. We had the Nerfy in the first inning, and it hit, and then all of a sudden in the second inning, it was 4 runs for Philly and then 2 runs for San Diego. We got very fortunate with the Nerfy there, but listen, the Nerfy's the Nerfy. The rest of the game is the rest of the game. But when you look at who Philly is right now, they don't have a ton of holes. San Diego's got the better bullpen, but I think Philly is a little better at the top of the rotation, although Ranger Suarez, Joe Musgrove advantaged San Diego in game 3. Ranger Suarez, to me, is not a guy I would want to rely on in a postseason game. Joe Musgrove has that aura of, no-hitter vibes. Like, he's got that big game kind of vibe to him. I would lean San Diego tomorrow, probably. And I think I would lean San Diego in the series, because I do think Philly, they don't have the profile of a championship team. Their bullpen is not elite. It's very shaky. And I think eventually that will catch up to them. Their offense has made it not really matter. They scored in their 3 wins against the Braves in that series. They scored 7, 9, and 8 runs. And the bullpen doesn't matter when you score that many runs. I think the series is going to be a lot tighter here, and I think the bullpens will play a much bigger factor, and I think the Padres probably have the edge there.
It's going to be crazy seeing how the NLCS and ALCS games go. We got some exciting games ahead of us, and we'll be breaking them down all weekend long. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports. Make sure to go to superbook.com or download the app today. And this season, guys, we are rooting for safeties. That's because Superbook is going to give you a $50 bonus on each safety scored this season. All you have to do, place a $100 pregame bet on any spread or any total, and if there's a safety scored in any game on Sunday, you get a $50 bonus. So make sure to visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. First, from superbook.com, Gerard, to Pickswise.com, 3-star play of the day. Hit me with it.
Well, we're going to do something fun today. We are going to give you a little bit of sports equinox flavor. So, again, parlays are bad. You're going to lose most weeks. You're going to pretty much lose. Most parlays you're going to lose. So you throw $10 on this, for me, that'd be like 0.1 unit. That's the max, or maybe 0.2 units that I would throw on this. But again, gambling is fun. This is a fun show. We want to have some fun. So we're going to take the 3-star plays that are on the site today, respectively in NHL and NBA. We are going to combine them with a baseball play. There's only one game on the board, so we made it very simple. And then we are going to, to be fair, you don't like the NFL pick that we're going to throw in here. So if you'd like
That's okay. No, I like the full game total. So you're betting the first half total.
No, we're going to do the Saints plus 2.5, which was Clev TA's pick from the site.
That's okay.
All right. So we'll again, these are all picks from the site. It's not like I'm giving you these from my own personal brain. We're taking all the picks from Pickswise.com today that are respective in each sport, and we're throwing it into a sports equinox parlay. So we're doing the Saints plus 2.5. We're going to do the Astros money line. We're going to do the Ducks Bruins over 6.5. And then the late night total Clips Lakers over 225.5. That is the official sports equinox LBI parlay. You can see it there at the bottom of your screen. These are all picks from the site minus the Astros. There is no baseball pick on the site today, unfortunately. There is a Nerfy, though. Should we do the Nerfy instead? Caleb Wolfinger put the Nerfy on the site. I don't trust the Nerfy. I don't know. You know why I don't trust the Nerfy with the Astros at home. These are two bad Nerfy teams, frankly. These are two teams that are really good offensively in the first inning. So we'll stay away from the Nerfy. I trust Caleb's cap, but we'll stay away from the Nerfy. There's your Sports Equinox parlay. When I put this together on my Superbook app, I got about 10-1. So it's a nice little juicy nugget there. Throw $10 on it, have some fun, don't go nuts, but happy Sports Equinox, everyone. It's a really fun day for us.
Happy Sports Equinox. Okay, let's get into our best bets of the day. I know we're on a little bit of competing sides, but not really, because you're betting the first half total. I'm betting the full game total. Tell me why you like the first half under.
Yeah, again, Clev TA's write-up for the site did a fantastic job diving into this game. He gives us write-ups for for Thursday and Monday night games. I highly recommend, especially those that are into the analytical side of NFL handicapping. His brain is really smart, and he has angles that I don't see. And when he writes about them, I'm like, oh, shit, that makes sense. All right, primetime unders this season. Listen, unders in general, I sent out a tweet a couple days ago. Unders are hitting at a ridiculous rate this year. If you just threw $100 blindly on every under in the NFL this season, you'd be up $1,500 in 6 weeks. It's like a 20% ROI. It's crazy. Primetime under specifically this year are 13-6, which is 68%. First half unders on Thursday night, the last 2 years, 15-7, which is also 68%. So you're starting to see a trend develop where over 68% of the time, basically, we're seeing first half unders hit on Thursday night and primetime unders hit. Again, this is a pretty alarming rate and starting to become a trend that we need to really pay attention to. Now let's look at trends are fine. Let's look at the matchups now. Well, the Cardinals are terrible at scoring in the first half this year. Actually, the worst first half scoring team in the league. 29 first half points in 6 games. That's less than 5 points per half. Arizona's first half unders this year are 6-0. Haven't lost if you bet a first half under with the Cardinals this season. Now, the Saints, also not a great first half scoring team, only 9 points per first half this year. That's the 8th fewest. Now, the Cardinals defense has been a little leaky. They're actually allowing the most opposition points in the first half this year. That's obviously the part of this handicap that very much concerns me. But if you take out that absurd outlier Chiefs blowout in week 1, they're only allowing 13 points per half on the season. So I think it's fair to exclude that game. I do not put the Chiefs offense in the same tier as Andy Dalton and the Saints offense. So we're kind of excluding that Saints game or that Chiefs game in this handicap. And when you look at Dalton and Hill, the combo to me, if that is the starting quarterback, Andy Dalton, and we see a lot of Taysom Hill, I think we're going to see a heavy dose of the running game, especially because we've seen Andy Dalton. I talked about it during Bobby's segment. His target share to receivers are less. He likes to dink and dunk with the tight ends and the running backs. I think Alvin Kamara will be a big part of this game, but that means the clock's going to be moving. And I think at 21.5, which is where the number is currently, I feel good about this first half under. I do. So Saints Cards under 21.5 first half for my Pickswise LBI play of the day.
I'm kind of building off of the one part that worries you on your first half under in terms of just the defenses not being great. Both defenses right now are outside the top 20 in points allowed per game. So I'm betting the full game total full game total over. Thank you very much. Over 43.5, laying 10 cents for it. And a lot of this is based on trends, but I also feel like Kyler Murray, he's not as bad as he's been playing. And I don't know if it's Cliff Kingsbury and the plays that he's been calling. The fact that he only has 6 touchdowns through 6 games is extremely worrisome. There has to be a week where he pops off. And why not the week that DeAndre Hopkins returns, that this maybe changes a little bit for this team? I feel like he's maybe going to give this team a little bit of a spark. It's like they look a little flat right now. Well, not just a little flat, a lot flat right now. Maybe adding the guy like DeAndre Hopkins can get them going in a spot like this. The over has gone 6-2 in the last 8 games between these two teams. And in those 6 games, they averaged just under 50 points, 49.8 points. I look at some of the injuries. That worries me on both sides. I just cannot choose a side in this game. Like, truly, I lean Cardinals because of the injuries that the Saints are dealing with right now. But again, the Cardinals' home trend of not winning in the last 8 home games worries me a little bit. So that's why I was going towards the total. I like the over. I really do like your first half under, though, because the Cardinals have been extremely slow. They were like the only team through 5 weeks who hadn't scored a single point in the first quarter. Thankfully, that changed last week. But I feel like their offense is going to get going a little bit more. Kyler Murray needs to show something. He's not as bad as he's been playing. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins will be that spark plug for him. And I trust Andy Dalton partnering with Taysom Hill. I mean, I feel like Taysom can pop off like he did in, week 5, where he just had himself an absolute week. So why not? We'll see. First half under for you, full game over for me. We can both hit, and we'll just be one big
it is possible.
Happy family.
It is very possible.
All right, guys. That's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Laura Jabara. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it. Presented by Superbook Sports.